As shocking as this might be to believe, there was a time when editors for Marvel and DC had some integrity. There was a time when they actually looked at stories and made judgment and say, this could work, this might not work, this could be done, you could change this, things like that. I mean, that's hard to believe now with the kind of crap that they put out and then shout at you for not loving. But that is what happens. And most of the time, it wasn't even like, these small writers were they some of the big name writers got their stories shelved because for one reason or another. Now, this happened to Chuck Dixon with a Batman story that he wrote that never came to fruition. Let's take a look at this article here from Bounding into Comics, and we can go over it. Chuck Dixon reveals the plot to a Batman story DC refused to publish because it wasn't diverse enough. Let's find out how that good. Let's get to it. Alright, these stories weren't always by controversial writers like Alan Moore, Grant Morrison, or Todd McFarlane either. Sometimes a veteran Batman writer like Chuck Dixon didn't catch a break when penning something he initially thought would hit shelves and racks around the country. One Batman story he did was approved but ultimately dumped not too long after. Fans submitting questions for Dixon's popular Ask Chuck YouTube series have frequently asked him about the tale. Lately, the topic is coming up more than usual, and as such, Dixon devoted time on episode number 165 to explain what happened. It all started after he watched the movie New Jack City, which inspired him to conceive a story similar to The Raid. Okay? Dixon thought, what if Batman had to infiltrate a housing project that was turned into a fortress by a drug kingpin who took it over? Sounds like an interesting story to me. The story he wrote was called The Keep, was going to be drawn by Moon Knight artist Gary Kwapisi, and was greenlit by Archie Goodwin for an issue of Batman Legends of the Dark Knight. The plot consisted of Batman following leads on a murder that brings him to the project fortified by a gang to protect themselves from rivals and the police. When he gets into a fight with several gang members, the Cape Crusader is shot, which makes his mission more complicated. Bleeding and trapped in a maze, there's almost no way out. All of that sounds really interesting. It's like a story that I personally would really want to read. Fortunately, he knocks on a door and is given safe haven by a boy who's home by himself since his mother works night shifts as a nurse. This gives Batman time to heal and reach his objective. The story was intended as a real-world scenario where Batman was the only white character and everyone else, especially the criminals, were black. Okay, now I could see where they're going to have a problem with that and thing. But again, as I say, I don't really think that would be a problem, just in my opinion. But let me read on a little bit more and I'll give some more context on that. The problem came that Gary and I wanted to present this as it might have really happened in the real world. And what that meant is that Batman is the only white character in the story. Every other character in the story, good guys and bad guys, are African American, because Gary and I felt that's simply the way it would be in Gotham. Okay? Elaborated. Gary is from Detroit, I'm from Philadelphia, and you don't really have a whole lot of diversity in those low-income housing project buildings. It's generally more minority or another dominating the entire building. So that's the way we presented it. That's the part the DC editorial had a problem with. Though Dixon and Kwapisi understood there wasn't a lot of diversity in the inner cities of Detroit and Philadelphia, for example, Archie Goodwin was apprehensive about showing the Cape to higher-ups in the chain of command. Dixon and Kwapisi were paid for their work, but Goodwin never presented it to his superiors. Dixon does not have the script for the story anymore. But even if he did, he doesn't think it would be published. If we were to present the story today, we would probably have been pounded down the street by a mob. Veteran Batman right there explained, okay, stories here, Batman and Robin out at night, around, okay. Let me get back to the part here. Right. Now, again, it's all about the Batman is the only white character and everyone else, especially the criminals, were black. Now, I immediately see his point here. If they try to present that today, it'll automatically be all this racist backtalk and all kind of thing. But I don't think that's the way it would work, especially me as a reader. If I'm reading the story, I wouldn't really have that thought in mind, because you have to be realistic in regards to it. Most of these housing projects usually are occupied by one group of people. And if the drug dealer and the people in the building are all black, that's just the way it is. I don't think that is meant to be, racist in any way, shape, or form. What they could have done with this story, and I don't know if Chuck Dixon would have eventually done this or whatever, but what could have happened with this story? Batman is in there, yes, the whole thing, everybody else is black, all is okay. And he's trapped in a maze. He's getting help from this boy trying to deal with his objective. And then word gets out to maybe 2 or 3 other gangs that Batman is in there. And you see maybe like the Yakuza and maybe Mexican or something like that. All different people show up now at the building at the project, because they want to get Batman as well. They force their way in, and then Batman has to resort to using his intelligence to play them against each other and simultaneously not only take them down, but also take down the kingpin that he's after. This is how you could really expand on a story when you do this thing. But I think cutting it out because you're thinking, Batman is the only white character in there and everybody else is black, so that's going to look kind of racist. I don't really think that was a real way to go. I think if you did certain things to the story, like what I just said, that could have worked. But I can understand, again, why Chuck Dixon, if they try to do that story to deal with Batman, it will get backlash. Yes, it will, because these people who scream on Twitter don't really read anything. They're just looking for any kind of opportunity to start. So, again, it's not just people who do these things. And again, as I said, these stories, you had editors back then who actually cared what they were doing and took time to do things. Batman getting his back broken by Bane and Bane to everybody said that was something. But yeah, again with it. So this is really the Batman story that we never got. I personally would have liked to read it. I think it would have been an interesting read to see what Chuck Dixon would have done, how he would have expanded the story, what he could have done. The suggestion that I made, if it had played out, I think that would have really, really nailed more of the story and, bring it into more fruition and get a chance to show Batman using his mind as well, which is one of his greatest strengths. I think it would have been really cool to have done all of that. But I can really understand why Chuck Dixon says that, if they try to do that today with Batman, they will get backlash, yes. But personally, I would have really wanted to read this story. I think it would have been something to really be interesting to read the character. The little that I read of what he said there, it got me interested to see. And this is really what you should do. You take some kind of effort, you try to craft a story around it, and you go with that. But it's the Batman story that we never got. At least we got some information on it, so we know what could have been. You never know, maybe sometime it might happen. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. I have a different opinion. I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell. I'll be notified every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.